Hi everyone, welcome back to Crow's Whisper Tarot. Today we're going to be looking at what doors are closing for you at the end of Halloween and what doors are opening up. So let's jump straight into the reading. Alright guys, here are the piles. Pick one of the 4 piles that attracts you the most and I'll see you guys in the reading. Hi Pile 1, welcome to your reading. So in order to diagnose what is happening, we have 2 cards that we're going to use, which is the Marigold Tarot and the Rainbow Brain Skull Oracle, to see what exactly is happening in your life, and then we'll have a look at what is beginning and what is ending. So let's jump into the Marigold. So we have Temperance reversed. And we also have, it'll never be perfect, so I'll leave it blank and let the earth slowly consume me. The vibe I'm getting for this group is you seem to be very much a perfectionist mindset, or wanting to have a lot of things done by this stage in your life. And it's almost like you're overcommitting yourself to what is meant to be and what is meant to happen for you. And so you're sort of hyper-focused on, rather than being in the moment and enjoying what is currently there, you're always thinking about what's going on in the future. Why am I not at the stage that I want to be? Why am I feeling like I'm drowning in whatever situation I'm in? And that energy is tending to drain you a lot more than you would expect, especially at this time. And especially with this idea of having a blank canvas and not knowing what to do with it, or feeling like you don't have the ideas that you feel like you need to have. For example, if someone asks you, what's your ambition, 5-10 years down the line, and you just stare thinking, well, I haven't thought that far ahead. That's not necessarily a problem, and it's not necessarily your problem to deal with. Some of us are just better at dealing things in the moment, and that's perfectly fine. And I feel like that's almost the case, except I feel like with this group, it's something that you're constantly thinking of and mulling over, and it's something that is putting more pressure on your life than you need it to be. So in terms of what's ending in your life, we have, funnily enough, octopusing, which is very much that you have spread yourself so thin that you've put your hands in as many things as possible, and you're hoping that things work out. That if you spread yourself in as many areas of your life as possible, you'll be successful in all those areas, which truthfully does not work, and it leads to more pressure, more stress, things not going to plan, things falling out of your court, feeling like things are not where you need it to be. And you can think of octopus giving off ink because they are stressed. And so that sort of negativity that you end up sort of seeping into tends to sort of take over the rest of your life and takes away your enjoyment and what matters most. So in this phase, the one thing that is closing off for you is moving into a stage where you're more than happy to not hyper commit to things. You're able to focus on one thing and one thing in particular and just strive for that. You don't need to push yourself further than that. You don't need to really pressure yourself in any way. Just completely and utterly focus on yourself and what you're able to achieve. If you feel like you are almost drowning in, the abyss of feeling like you have no grounding whatsoever, it is a chance for you to just sort of be comforted knowing that you are happy, that you are healthy, that is more than enough. Committing to more than that is great, but again, it doesn't need to drain you to the point where you're feeling like you're just completely and utterly stressed throughout life. So that is a phase that we're starting to get out of. And the doors that are opening up for you, funnily enough, we have the Ace of Pentacles. So let's have a bit of an investigation to see how exactly does moving away from all those commitments lead to success. We have the Star, the Emperor reversed, the Page of Cups, and the Five of Pentacles. more than anything, what I'm seeing is that almost by clearing out the clutter that is in your life, you're able to really focus on things from a new perspective. And by losing things that don't work out, that are putting pressure on you, that feels like you are drowning in whatever situation you're in, it gives a new light to that situation. It brings more clarity in terms of where you want to go, what you want to achieve, focusing on the bare minimum requirement. The one thing out of all your dreams and ambitions, clearly you have at least 8 because you have the octopus, but focus on the one most important one, the one that you feel like you can't survive without. And that's the one that is going to give you that Ace of Pentacles, that complete and utter success and opportunity and wealth that will take place in your life. But to do that, you need to almost strip down to the bare minimum. You want to get to that point, because otherwise you can't see what is important if you're already sitting on a throne, for example. You want to go back to the basics, go back to what is the most important thing in your life, because that's going to lead you to knowing exactly where you fall and how to go about things. You might also find that inspiration, especially with the Page of Cups energy, that inspiration takes place at a very opportune moment, that it happens when you are having fun, that you're enjoying life, that you're happy. That leads into more of that, especially if you're in that creative field, it leads more into that creative energy. When you are at your most genuine, at your most stress-free, as best as possible, that's what's going to give you the most amount of success and the most amount of happiness in terms of what's opening up for you. So what will this Ace of Pentacles opportunity lead to? We have the Strength card reversed, and we also have the Ace of Cups. It's interesting how both of these cards have popped up in reverse. For me, when I read reverses, I read it more as things that will change or things that are currently not there but will happen later down the track. So in this case, later down the track, you're going to be more secure in who you are. You're going to have the resources that you need to fight for what you want. Just because you've gone down to the bare minimum, you know exactly what you want, you fuel that one goal as best as possible, you make it incredibly easy to achieve, and then that's going to lead to more opportunities to broaden your horizons, to meet new people, to build networkings, being able to communicate well with those individuals, and also being more secure in yourself and in dealing with difficulty and stress and things along those lines. You're able to deal with that a lot easier when you have the opportunity to really move forward. And that's pretty much what I'm seeing. So that was your reading, pile 1. Hope you enjoyed it. Please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. Welcome, pile number 2, to your reading. So today we're going to be looking at what doors are closing, what doors are going to be opening. First, we'll look at 2 cards that will tell us where we are currently, and then we'll have a look at the 2 other piles to see what's in the past and what is coming up in the future. So let's start off with the King of Swords. So the King of Swords represents someone who is very much in control, has a clear idea of exactly where they want to go, what they want to do, and everything that they want to achieve. And it comes to them very easily through effort. And I feel like they're very good at absorbing information. So that could very much be you at this stage. And we also have World Maker, is only a job in the final future. So at this stage, you have everything put together in life. Things are very successful. You're feeling like things are on the right track. You feel like your life is very organized and you have everything that you possibly could need. Amazing energy. I wish I could be you. But we also have Truth Serum as your card that we're moving past, which is quite interesting. And more than anything is that you're moving into a stage where you don't like people who are false in your life, and you're starting to move away from that, especially with World Maker here. For some of you, you can be already in the process of restructuring your life and restructuring who is currently in your life and the type of people that you want to surround yourself with, and editing out people who are not going to be beneficial to you in the future or have not ever been beneficial. And you're sort of sorting through and deciding exactly how you want to have your life built. And for some of you, it can be in relation to finding a long-term partner that you want to commit to, and therefore want to sort out all the family drama before you sort of introduce them into your life, or at least into your family's lives. But it does feel like you're really focused on having genuine people and having relationships that are genuine, and making sure that the ones that you try and surround yourself with and are people that you can genuinely trust. So that's what we're moving past, which is great. And what we're moving towards is the 8 of Swords reversed, which is a perfect card. I don't know if you're just very logical minded, or that you're getting into that stage in life where you just want the facts and that's it. You don't really want to sort of fluff around with other emotions and crazy stuff. You just want to focus on the facts, and it feels like we're getting into that motion, which is great. So let's find out exactly what the 8 of Swords reversed represents for you. Let's see. 8 of Cups reversed. And the Death card reversed. So yeah, we're definitely moving into an energy where we're recreating exactly how we want to function in life. And for some of you, it can be related to job changes as well, moving on to opportunities that really benefit you, and you're not going to be shunned or put down in any sense by the people you're around. It feels like you're getting into an energy where you are the maker of your life, and you're able to cut out things that are not benefiting you and keep things that are going to maintain and sustain your life. And it does feel like we're moving into that energy where we have a lot more clarity in ourselves and in the physical world that we have. Anything else that's going to open up for us with the 8 of Swords reversed? We have Ace of Wands and the Hangman reversed. Interesting. For some of you, yes, again, it does feel like we're committing to certain relationships, and we're having more opportunity to focus on your passions and exactly how you want to develop as well. And with the Hangman reversed, I feel like we're starting to see a lot more clearer, and it feels like this is something either partially trauma related, or it can be just from previous relationships. You're starting to understand that not every relationship is going to be identical. You're starting to have much better communication skills, much better method of dealing with arguments and distress, and having the opportunity to really push yourself forward and be a stronger person by the end of it, without sort of causing conflict in the process of trying to prove a point, or get your point across, I should say. So it definitely feels like we're moving into much stronger territory, more personal wise than anything else. Any other messages that want to come through as to what is opening up for pile 2? 3 of Rings and 2 of Rings reversed. It's interesting. It looks like the people that you have a bit of conflict with is those in your inner circle, I find, and that's probably where you have that truth serum coming in as well. So we're definitely moving towards having people who are aligned with our beliefs and what we want, not necessarily being an identical match, obviously, like that Venn diagram sort of image, but it is that you share genuine values and you share genuine interests as well. And it feels like rather than having relationships that are wishy-washy, where you feel like you don't know where you stand, or you feel like the other person doesn't really balance you out. We're moving on to more relationships that are much more stable, much more grounded, and also where you have a lot of things in common, especially with that Ace of Wands as well. We're moving into a much more stable atmosphere, and it feels like it comes at a time that is very unique to you. What is this new relationship that popped up? Jeez. I've got another couple of cards. Knight of Cups. Okay. Seven of Rings and Page of Rings. That is very unique. Very, very unique. For some of you, this is almost like you haven't dated in some time, and so that's why you're sort of more in your mental clarity phase, where you've sort of already moved to only having people that is worth your time, only having people that, you know, represent you and your energy and what you believe in. And now we're moving into an opportunity where that's starting to take hold, and you might be, again, meeting a potential romantic interest, especially with that Knight of Cups. It can also be that you're introduced to someone that holds similar principles to yourself. I'm not sure if you're the Page of Pentacles, but it definitely does feel like that energy, in the sense that I feel like you are a workaholic, again, world maker. It feels like you are creating a space for yourself that you want to be a part of, that you want to represent. You're not just, you know, going to a job for the sake of doing a job. You're going there to make a difference. And I feel like that is the vibe that I'm getting overall in your life, is that you're creating a space that you genuinely feel comfortable in, that you want to be represented as, and you feel like that is exactly the energy that you want for yourself. So that's the vibe that we're getting into, which is truly amazing. In terms of this relationship, it feels like it pops up much quicker than you could ever anticipate. In terms of a timeline, we have the Five of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. Couldn't read very well. Five of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. Potentially in the next 5 months, you might be meeting someone who is quite significant to your life, who would share the same values and have a lot of interest into what is truly happening. And funnily, at the bottom of the deck is the Tower. So, could be a sudden occurrence that happens out of nowhere. It can also be at an opportunity that you didn't actually know would happen, but ends up being quite significant for you anyway. So pick and choose, but it does seem like things are very smooth. They're happening very quickly. And you might be surprised by what comes up, so look forward to that. But that was your reading, pile 2. Hope you enjoyed it. Please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. Welcome, pile 3, to your reading. So we're going to have a look at your current energy. We're going to have a look at what door is closing and what door is opening up for you. I lost my words for a sec. But let's start off. We have the Knight of Pentacles. And we also have jumping is scary, staying frozen is scarier. So in terms of this, it does feel like you have been steadily working through your own emotions, and I feel like more in particular mental health and anxiety. And it feels like we're getting to a point where things are a lot clearer for you. You're getting a lot more understanding into yourself, into what ticks you off and what calms you down as well. So we're getting more understanding of your own emotions and how that represents you and how you can move forward from it, which is amazing. And we also have Mermaid Tears, which sort of falls into that category as well. Mermaid Tears typically represents being able to let your emotions take over when it does, and then let it go as well, and being really good at controlling that. Not so much suppressing or controlling your emotions, but being able to embrace them, let them, take over when they need to take over, and let them sort of go away on its own, and then move forward back into your usual energy after. It feels like you're very good at understanding when you need to cry, when you need to let go of emotions, when you need to be angry, when you need to sort of express yourself in that emotional capacity as best as you can. And again, trying to be more open with your emotions. And I feel like that's something that you have been working on, is being more vulnerable, being understanding that you're not always going to be perfect. You're not going to be held to a perfect standard. And it's interesting because we see mermaids as being, you know, beautiful and, you know, in control and having a really good like voice and song. But it doesn't always mean that you are constantly in that energy. It's also about you being comfortable with the negative sides of yourself and seeing that, you know, there is a shift and change that will always take place in your life, especially when it comes to what we feel. So that's what we're moving away from. And we're getting into an energy with the Ace of Wands reversed, which is quite interesting, where you're taking a much more of a action-oriented role. With the Knight of Pentacles, although you are moving forward and although you have every opportunity to almost hold what is important to you and take it in everything in stride, the Wands energy is more taking action regardless of the consequences, just jumping head first. And I feel like that is where this comes in as well, feeling like you have to hold a certain image for yourself, feeling like you don't have the energy or the strength to really stand up for yourself or, you know, take a risk or really put yourself out there. Those things take time, but it feels like with this energy that you are almost struggling to take the next step. So let's have a look with the deck and see what you can do to really help you take the next step. And we've got Tower. So sometimes if you're not willing to put in that determination and feel like things aren't going well, I'm stuck, I'm struggling, nothing's heading in the right direction, but you're also really scared to take opportunities that present themselves, sometimes Spirit just pushes you towards it regardless. So that might happen for you, where either something unexpected happens and you end up in the situation you thought you would never be in, or you are essentially forced to take action based on the situation you're currently in. Either way, whether it's your own choice or not, it's going to be a very quick and succinct change and shift that will be happening at some point in time, whether it's up to you, whether it's by choice or whether you simply force things to happen the way they're meant to. But it is that you are meant to be in a situation where you are strong and you are capable, and you have to see yourself in that light. Especially because we have two court cards that popped up as well with the Tower, which is the King of Cups reversed and the Knight of Swords reversed. Both of those energies don't really represent what is happening in the past. I feel like in the new door opening for you is that you are going to be given opportunities, whether, again, your choice or not, that you are going to have to step in as a leader, as a person that will be managing other people, that you'll be in a team situation where you have to give instructions, give results, be pushed into a very objective environment. And that's going to be important for you because it leads you to being stronger and knowing exactly what opportunity to take, how you're going to take it. It's going to lead you to be forced to communicate with people you don't typically communicate with. You have to step out of your comfort zone. And again, jumping is scary, but staying frozen is scarier. And whether or not you want to do it and whether or not you're still stuck in that fear state, being pushed is probably the opportunity that you might need to really see yourself for who you are, because it does feel like overall that this group is a has so much potential and so much energy that if you really wanted to, you could be in the spotlight and you could shine, you could be a leader. But again, it's really up to you with what you want to present and how you're going to do that. We have the 5 of Swords and the 2 of Pentacles. And for some of you, it can be simply because you have a lot of negative self-perceptions about yourself. And it seems like with the 2 of Rings reversed as well, it feels like there's almost like a back and forth within yourself where you want opportunities, but you also don't want to deal with the consequence of having those opportunities. It's this weird sort of back and forth in your mind when it comes to what you're potentially able to do. And it results in not only, you know, having poor relationships with yourself, but also having other people doubt your abilities because they can see you hesitate. So the more confident you are in showcasing not so much your strengths, but also, again, that vulnerability that you have been working on, great. But it needs to be to a point where you can express that positive side of yourself. It feels like you're very good at understanding yourself, having a very good internal investigation of yourself. But when it comes to pushing out with confidence, telling people how amazing you are, telling people that, you know, this is what I do, this is what I'm interested in, this is exactly what I want to do in life, rather than sort of holding back, saying it as loudly as you can is actually going to result in so many new opportunities that will pop up for you. More than anything, your growth mindset is going to be really important over the next 2 years or so, is what I'm picking up as well. So really trying to put yourself in a position where you're in the spotlight, that you're pushing yourself forward, that you're not hesitating as much. Especially at the bottom of the deck, we have Star. Everything that you could possibly want and desire will come through when you have gone through the cycle of seeing yourself in that positive light consistently. So that's something to look forward to. But that was your reading, pile 3. Hope you enjoyed it. Please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. Welcome, pile 4, to your reading. Today we're going to be looking at what doors are closing and opening for you at the end of October. We'll start off with where you're currently at, what doors are going to be closing, and then what doors are opening up, and get a few more details through that. So we start off with the Queen of Cups, and we also have connection is the only game, which is very interesting. It feels like you're getting into a space where you're more comfortable expressing yourself to other people, being able to present your thoughts and ideas in a way that are truly about you, feeling very confident in how you communicate, how you present yourself, and also people receiving those emotions. And it feels like you're starting to be more of an extrovert, but also seeking out to start conversations with other people, which you probably typically won't necessarily do. But it feels like you are getting into that stage where you're getting more comfortable with the idea of talking to strangers, which is amazing. And funny I talk about communication because we also have birdsong as one of the cards that popped up. So again, being in a state where you're very comfortable expressing yourself, what you want to say, how you're going to say it, not being hesitant by putting yourself out there, making sure that you're always heard, even if other people don't necessarily want to hear you, they definitely have the opportunity to, and that's what's most important. And especially with birdsong, you're getting into a stage where you're more comfortable with, I feel like, also discussing things that you want to keep hidden, things that feel uncomfortable, things that you feel are not in, you know, not right for the vibes, perhaps, or putting out your vulnerabilities as well. You're getting more and more comfortable with presenting yourself as a multi-faceted person rather than simply what's on the surface. And that makes a very big difference when it comes to communication and it comes to the people you're surrounding yourself with. And it builds into a lot of strength for yourself in terms of how you want to be presented. So something to keep in mind. But in terms of what we're going towards, we have the Five of Swords. Very different energy. I was not expecting that. So let's have a look a bit more into what the Five of Swords actually represents for you. What opportunity is the Five of Swords going to bring? The King of Cups reversed, the Magician, Justice, and the Sun card reversed. I honestly love that. You're not taking, even if you're very openly communicative with the people you're surrounding yourself with, it also means that you are able to control the people involved in your life. You're able to really distinguish between people who are worth your time, people who are not. Also, you're getting to a point where you're very good at understanding when criticism isn't directly at you. Even if someone says something negative about you to your face, it doesn't mean that you're the issue. It can just be that they're the issue and they're projecting it onto you. And you're very good at diagnosing that for yourself in terms of what is actually really about you, what is not about you, and knowing when to put your energy in certain boxes. And it feels like you're definitely moving into that state where you're more confident with your skills, you're more confident with presenting yourself to strangers, even if, for example, in my case, I'm not great with talking to people at all. I tend to definitely sort of shut myself down if I can. But you know, getting to a point where you can have awkward silences and then try and restart that conversation, that itself is a struggle for a lot of people. But it definitely comes through with the King of Cups reversed as well. Feeling like you are getting into a state where people come to you for advice, people come to you because of your presence and your energy, and you're starting to build yourself up into a much stronger person and into someone who, again, can deal with the negative side of other people and communication with other people, but also maintaining that you are a strong individual, that you have a lot to give, that your emotions are your own and not something that other people can have a hold of. They can influence it, but they can't have a hold of it. And knowing that, you know, even if you show vulnerability, it's not necessarily a fault that you have to sort of hide. And we also have the Magician card here, which I find the most impressive, along with Justice. But with both of these cards, it's about you having every opportunity to make something great with your voice and your song, making sure that you have ample opportunity to use those skills in things like your career, and also with, aside from building connections with other people, using it to make yourself a stronger individual, making yourself more powerful through your own voice, and making sure that other people are more than comfortable with dealing with your negative sides, especially people close to you. If you're someone who genuinely has a happy-go-lucky image and people make the most of that, or they make the most of that, you know, you would help people continuously if you could. If they make use of you and use your traits for their own benefit without considering your own emotions and your own thoughts on the matter, it can be that you can, without a doubt, use that energy that you have to shut them down. And that's something that you need to be very good at, is not only communicating the best parts of yourself to other people, also communicating when you're displeased with something. And that's something is going to take a lot of time into getting that energy forward. And I feel like this is just a very happy group, and, you know, almost like a people pleaser, not necessarily, but close to that, I find. But your own happiness comes from being able to put your own emotions above others. Your thoughts, Might be, you know, understanding other people, you know, seeing from their perspective. That's all good and fine, but your emotions are more important, especially we've got the Queen of Cups and the King of Cups in this reading. Being more comfortable knowing that you are yourself, your emotions are yours. Others don't get a say as to how you feel or how you know, instinctually know a circumstance that is going to happen. The world is not that simple. And so knowing where you're emotionally standing will reflect on your thoughts and actions that will take place after that. But that's probably the key, is being really in tune with your emotions, understanding exactly where you stand and what opportunity is going to present through that. So let's get I love this deck, but it's super slippery, and that's the only thing that I do not love about this deck. We have the Knight of Swords reversed. So again, blunt communication is very, very important for the future, and it's going to lead to a lot of changes and shifts that will take place in your life once you get a hold of it. And especially, it will change things that have held back, and also new opportunities that present themselves to you. Both of these cards, with the Knight of Swords and the Four of Cups, represent that you are going to be in a place and time where you are moving into a much stronger individual, that new opportunities will always come to you when you need it, and also that life will always change based on how you feel about a situation. So that was your reading, pile 4. Hope you enjoyed it. Please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.